By the early years of World War II, steel was scarce, concrete was slow to deploy, and aircraft, vehicles and field structures were being built lighter and faster than ever before. Plywood replaced metal in aircraft fuselages, wooden boats carried troops, and timber bunkers appeared across Europe and the Pacific. Then came the uncomfortable truth. Wood, no matter how well built, shattered under gunfire. Bullets punched through, splinters became secondary shrapnel, and crews paid the price. What followed was not a miracle, not a myth, but a chemically clever solution developed under pressure. A paint additive, brushed or sprayed onto ordinary wood, that dramatically increased its resistance to bullets and fragmentation. This is not folklore. This is wartime chemistry, field testing, and desperate innovation, and once you understand how it worked, you'll never look at paint the same way again. The additive emerged from a very specific wartime need rather than theoretical chemistry. British and American researchers were tasked with reducing splintering in aircraft interiors and wooden vehicle panels. Early combat reports showed that crews were often killed not by direct hits, but by razor-sharp wood fragments exploding inward at rifle velocity. The goal was not to make wood completely impervious, but to control energy transfer and prevent catastrophic fragmentation. The answer came in the form of cellulose-based coatings mixed with phenolic resins and rubberized compounds. These coatings penetrated the grain, cured hard yet flexible, and bonded fibers together under stress instead of allowing them to explode apart. Understanding why this worked requires understanding how bullets defeat wood in the first place. When a projectile strikes untreated timber, the energy causes fibers to snap and separate violently along the grain. The bullet loses some velocity, but the real damage comes from the shockwave travelling through the material. WWII engineers realized that if the fibers could be bound together elastically, the wood would behave less like brittle kindling and more like layered armour. The paint additive did exactly that. Once applied and cured, it turned wood into a composite material, closer in behaviour to early fiberglass than raw timber. The most famous applications appeared in aircraft and naval construction. The British de Havilland Mosquito, often called the Wooden Wonder, relied heavily on treated plywood. While the Mosquito is remembered for speed and stealth, less discussed is how its internal coatings reduced splintering from flak and small arms fire. US PT boats use similar treatments on plywood hull sections, especially around crew compartments. Even field fortifications benefited. Timber bunkers, treated with these coatings, resisted penetration from shrapnel and low-caliber fire far better than untreated logs, buying defenders critical seconds. The chemistry behind the coating was simple, but brutal in its effectiveness. Phenolic resins hardened the wood and raised its impact tolerance. Rubberized latex components added flexibility, preventing cracks from propagating. Some formulations included aluminum or mica flakes, not to stop bullets outright, but to disrupt spin and flatten impact forces. The result was not bulletproof in the modern sense, but bullet-resistant enough to change outcomes. Tests showed that rifle rounds often lodged within treated panels or passed through with drastically reduced lethality and minimal splintering. This knowledge was not classified forever, and its principles are still usable today. Modern survivalists, reenactors, and historical builders can apply the same concept using contemporary materials. Marine epoxy mixed with rubberized roof coatings recreates the elastic bonding effect. Multiple thin coats applied to plywood, allowing full cure between layers, dramatically increases impact resistance. Layering remains key. The two engineers rarely relied on a single thick coat. They built up composite behavior through repetition, something anyone with patience can replicate. Practical application matters, and this is where historical understanding becomes actionable. If you're building a concealed shooting blind, a period-accurate shelter, or even a reinforced door, treating plywood panels before assembly is critical. Apply the coating while the wood is dry and warm, ensuring deep penetration. Allow full curing time, then laminate panels with staggered grain directions. This mirrors World War II aircraft construction methods and dramatically improves resistance to penetration and spall. The principle is not about stopping the bullet outright, but about controlling failure in a predictable, survivable way. What World War II teaches us here is not about magic materials, but layered thinking. The paint additive was never meant to replace armor. It was meant to make cheap available materials behave better under stress. That mindset is as relevant now as it was in 1942. When resources are limited, chemistry and understanding of material behavior become force multipliers. Wood did not become steel, but it stopped behaving like a liability. This innovation quietly shaped post-war material science. The same logic led to fiberglass, Kevlar composites and modern ballistic panels. World War II paint additives were a stepping stone, proving that binding fibers and managing energy mattered more than raw hardness. It's a lesson often lost in popular history, overshadowed by tanks and aircraft. Yet it saved lives in cramped cockpits and timber fortifications across 2 continents. If you value this kind of overlooked practical history, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Iron Age Instincts, share this with fellow historians and survivalists, and keep these lessons alive. History isn't just about what happened, it's about what still works.